Oh, good, you're here. Come on. This is the centre of performance. Whenever there's a top performance in New Zealand, it all comes from here. That's Lisa Carrington. She's been doing that for days. That's the boy who got the hole-in-one in Taupo. Oh, he did it again. Hey, Finn, how's the performance going?
Top tier.
Nice. This is our Generate room. In here, you'll find our top performers helping Kiwis maximise their KiwiSaver investments. Get in here, Finn. Maximise.
Right,
Generate. Putting performance first.
Bernice Mene, welcome to my podcast.
Thanks.
It's worth, people are going to be listening to this whenever they're listening to it, but for you and I, we're recording this at 7 a.m. on a Friday morning.
Yeah, good time, eh?
Because you asked me I invited you on the podcast and you very kindly said yes, and you said, what was your line? Something about peak performance in the morning or peak clarity?
Peak clarity. I'm like buzzing when I get into work. That is my most productive time of the day.
This is cruel. Look, I look tired. I'm so tired. It's so early.
Often by this time I've got dinner on as well, prepped. Prepped and on.
But it is great to connect with you, and I'm so pleased you said yes. This was sort of the middleman was your husband, Dion Nash.
He's always the middleman.
Yeah, who's been a guest on my podcast. I sent him a message saying, "Oh, do you think Bernie would be keen?" And he asked you, and here you are. Did much thought go into saying yes, or?
I don't do them often. Like I kind of don't. I don't love being out in the media, and so I kind of love working hard and putting my head down, and so in our family, I leave the marketing and the colour and the media to Dion.
Why don't you think you're? Yeah, you said before, just before we started recording, that you don't think you're very interesting or something. Why? Yeah, is this a chapter of your life now where you think you've been in the public eye and now you just enjoy like being under the radar a bit, or what is it?
Oh, I just my whole focus, I guess, now is our 3 children. Like one of them they're not children anymore, but young adults and pretty much adults. But it's not about me anymore, you know. And I think that you go through sport's a pretty selfish pursuit, and you learn a lot through sport. And I loved the time that I had, at high performance, at the top of your sport. But then, it's been nice to try and be the best at something else, like being a great mum, and then going back to corporate world and being able to really dig deep and get good at something else as well. Yeah.
Mm. Well, with all that in mind, it's great to have you here today. I really, really appreciate it. I mean that. And I've got so many cards here of things to talk about. There's a lot of cards for someone that describes himself as not very interesting.
I'm intrigued to see what you've got on those cards.
Okay, first of all, 7 a.m. on a Friday morning we're recording this, and it's, I think, the 11th of September. Just because I don't know when people are going to be listening to this or watching this, but at the time we're recording this, one of the big stories in the New Zealand news cycle is Dame Noeline from the Silver Ferns, and there's been like a players' mutiny. Do you know her personally? Do you have any thoughts on this? Some of the Silver Ferns have been quite vocal about their displeasure with it.
Yeah. I played with Noeline.
Oh, you played together?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So back in in New Zealand, but before that, we played together in Wellington in PIC. So I moved. I was pretty young. I did 2 years at Canterbury Uni, and then I just knew too many people in Christchurch, so I didn't make it very far across the campus. Too much socialising going on. So I ended up packing up and heading to Wellington because Waimarama Tamanu was the coach then, and I, she was a legend goal defence in her time, and I thought it would be great to tap into that. And Noeline was the goal attack for Smoke-Free PIC was our team then. So I joined that team, and she was a key figure in that team. Beautiful player, beautiful, authentic person as well, which sort of went for all of the players in that team. But we knew our positions and we knew what we were striving for in there. Yeah.
So as I mean, you're in a position where like you've been deep inside the Silver Ferns camp, and now you're in people and culture. So you're dealing with like workplace disputes like this. Yeah, what's your take on the whole thing?
Yeah, it feels very similar. Like I think, and I think it's probably indicative of the real, the overall changing environment. Not just in sport, but in in the world that we're in, and apart from there's the whole just employee rights, and the same with the rise of, or the evolvement of the Players Association and player that player kind of power, but also I think our sport is all sports are at a real kind of crossroads where you've got professionalism and but you still have grassroots. You've got to lean on grassroots to come through, and there's so many opportunities out there for them to weigh up basically. But everything is what I'm doing, and is basically what I can see happening out there. It is all people and culture, and I talk often to the beautiful thing about having played in a team sport is that when you've created or been part of a really amazing winning culture, and you also know when you've been in one that's been bad. Yeah.
When were you at your happiest in the Silver Ferns?
So when I came into the team, that's always challenging when you're a new kid on the block.
And you were a kid, you were literally a kid.
Yeah, I was.
You were still at school.
I was a baby. So for many years, I was a baby in every team I was in, because I was overgrown quite early on, and so then you. And I guess because of that, I learnt to just fit in with and get along with all different personalities and different ages, and but then it was very kind of, we were losing when I first arrived in the Silver Ferns. We were touted as, each time we went out in the tour against Australia, we were the worst Silver Ferns team that had taken the court against Australia, and we were losing by 30 goals each Test match, which is crushing. That in itself kills culture, and it's hard to reverse engineer that. So there's so many factors that go on, to getting everyone at their peak potential and performing, and it's no different to, there's so many similarities to getting people to perform in the workplace as well.
Yeah, I suppose when you're on a team that's losing, especially losing big, that's when finger pointing starts and blaming starts.
Yeah, and that's when actually you need to stop, and it's always what you can control and what you can affect in there. But yeah, there's a lot of factors, and then the best teams that I've been in, we had a great Silver Ferns team that we went to South Africa, and we won that series against Australia in South Africa, and I guess we had a team that was the rise of Tema Para-George, and Tanya Dalton was out there on the court. It was a really great. We had Irene. It was Irene's first time back playing in South Africa against South Africa, but yeah, we had a really close, cohesive unit over there. And same, I guess, I think back to the best teams and culture that I was in, that PIC team with Waimara and Noeline, and then Robin Broughton with the many years that she had down in Southland for Sting and Steele, that was a real kind of, I was actually saying to Dion about, there were very few players that played in that era. So it was just like consistency.
Yeah.
And she managed to maintain those players and those combinations, but also, she probably Robin extended my playing career because of, I had these bung joints, but she really treated us as individuals, but then as part of a team. So she was able to, manage us individually and then have us combine as a winning team. Yeah.
You mentioned Irene van Dyk just before, one of the greatest ever. What's it like? When you were captain, did you sort of captain everyone the same way? Like, were you just Bernice and this is what you get, or did you treat people differently? Because I've heard her in podcasts. It sounds like she's quite sensitive and
differently. Yeah,
yeah.
You can't treat everyone the same. There's rules that keep everyone, on an even keel. However, if you want to get the best out of everyone, you've got to figure out what motivates them and how you can get them to perform at their best. So, yes, when Irene arrived and her and Willie Miner joined the Silver Ferns at the same time from overseas, and quite two big personalities, like two really colourful personalities. And Irene was super sensitive, and I remember Annie Robury, firing a few balls at her, and they just, went flying through her hands, and then if someone raised their voice, eyes would burst into tears, and this is in training, and so you had to really just work out how you could get Irene to. I mean, you actually had to work around her to get her to grow and be, stronger and because she would always initially fumble balls on the baseline and she'd had very limited kind of exposure to other players and other styles of playing, and we also had Donna Lofhagen in the team, and Don's is she's probably quite the opposite to Irene, and so it was trying to get them to gel together and work together, and there's often, I think it's being able to harness those the individuals and those really strong personalities. Like you definitely need to be able to harness them and bring them together. So there's a role for big personalities, and then there's a role for those people that gel and stick it all together. Yeah,
God, it's a lot for a captain, eh? So you've got to focus on your own game, and then you've got to manage all these different personality types. So I'm sure I even remember seeing Irene van Dyk in some games, like clapping when the other team scores.
She did, yeah. So I remember playing against her at the, prior to her moving here, and she would be chatting to you, and we're always taught don't talk to your opposition, but when you're at goal shoot and goal keep, you do have a lot of time where you're just kind of standing next to each other, and she would be chatting and smiling, and then if I got an intercept off her, she'd be clapping, clapping the defensive player getting the intercept. It was that's strange. But that was her personality. She was genuinely pleased for you, and and I think that's what the public absolutely loved about her as well. She connected with them.
Oh, she's adored here.
Yeah.
Oh, there's so much netball stuff to get back into. But first of all, we'll wind back and go back to the early years, right? So, Samoan dad and Dutch mum?
Irish.
Irish?
Yeah. Oh, Irish descent. Yeah.
Oh, ChatGPT did me dirty. Okay, Samoan dad, Irish mum. Mene, that's your dad's name?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And Sally is your mum's name?
Yeah.
And their meet cute goes, your dad, they were both on the athletics track. Your dad's a decathlon, your mum's like a discus and javelin.
Yeah.
And he liked her thighs, her big thighs.
That's his story. Well, that's her story. That he, when he came out from Samoa, he said he wanted to play for the All Blacks and be a Peter Snell, go to the Commonwealth Games for athletics. And he turned up at the athletics track, and Mum, she was from the West Coast, and he was he came into Christchurch and went to the athletics track, and the coach there was Valdi Breedis, and the story goes, and Dad's great with the story, is that he didn't have any running shoes, and so and it was midwinter in Christchurch, and so he sent everyone for a couple of laps, and he told Mene to go. He was going to have to do twice as many laps to warm up those feet, but and then he said, then he spotted Mum across the shop at Circle, and he loved her big thighs. Strong
thighs.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Women love that. They love hearing that. And they were both superb athletes. Eh? Like decathloners, like I mean,
10 events. Yeah,
supremely fit. Like you got to be.
It takes a lot of training, like to become proficient and excel in 10 events, right?
You got to be like really, really good, but not necessarily brilliant at 10 very different things, like pole vault, high jump, sprinting, middle distance running. That's a lot.
Yeah,
it's crazy good. And they were both like Commonwealth Games level, right? Both went to the 74 Commonwealth Games in Christchurch.
Yeah. So that was just, I was born in 75. So but you have seen footage of. There was it feels like it was probably the early first footage of the Commonwealth Games, and because they're in Christchurch, and I've seen in all of the TVNZ archives, like they followed the decathlon, and so there's all this footage of Dad's family from Samoa supporting him, and Mum and Dad competing. Yeah. Mm.
So were they like a sporting power couple? I feel like you and Dion Nash, both former captains of your big national sports, cricket and netball, you guys were a power couple when you got together. Were they like a power couple in the 70s?
Yeah, probably. I mean, in a way, probably. I think athletics was big. When we were growing up, athletics was a really popular, sport. And so families would all compete together. And so a lot of the girls that I played with later in the Silver Ferns all did athletics coming through as well. So, the Roberys, Anna Robery and her family, I met and competed against them at athletics from early age when we all started. And Debbie Fuller, who in Mātoi, like same thing, met her down at athletics, and even Yvette McCausland-Drury, I sprinted against her at nationals, and so it was you knew them at athletics, and then later on met them all back again on the netball court.
Why didn't you gravitate towards athletics? You've got two brothers, again, like super sporty family. Your brothers Chris and Nathan, high jump and discus at the Olympic and Commonwealth Games level for Samoa. Why did you must have spent so many years, your early years, like at the track with your parents. Why didn't you gravitate towards athletics?
I did so athletics was probably one of my first loves. And then it was, when I started playing, I didn't start netball till I was 10. And then I started being pulled through into rep teams. As I said, like I was, 6 foot at 10, and
wow.
So I've been 6'2", which I am now, since I was 12, and so I got pulled up into, at under 21, Canterbury under 21s I was 15, the Canterbury senior team I was 16, and then New Zealand at 17. So it was like a really fast trajectory through. And so because of that, I tried to keep doing athletics as long as I could, because I think that I even, now with my own kids try and we've tried to allow them to do as many sports as they can when they're younger. It also helps with like your muscle development and different movements, and then it was probably 18. So when I was quite deep into New Zealand netball stuff that I had to decide and stopped. Stopped my track and field. Yeah.
Well, if you're 6'2" at the age of 12, you don't have a say in it. Eh? Netball New Zealanders, they've got their eye on you. Wow. Were you taller than your parents?
Yeah.
Yeah. At what age? What age did you pass your parents?
At 12. Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. So they say Dad's shrunk now, I think. But, they said they were 6 foot and 5'11", so it was quite early on. And yeah, I'm always amazed now, actually, down at the netball courts there's some real tall timber out there. Definitely we as people are evolving and getting bigger. Yeah.
And did I hear a story that one of your brothers almost drowned in the steeplechase?
Yeah.
Steeplechase pond? Do you call it a pond? Yeah, the little water hazard in
water,
the.
Yeah, the water jump. Yeah.
What happened?
Oh, well, Mum and Dad were competing, so they always sort of had the chili bin on the side, and we just had to stay near there apparently. And so he was. I think Mum was shot putting, and she had asked someone to keep an eye on him, but she turned around and he was face down floating in the steeplechase water, and so she went over, hauled him out, put him back on his feet and went back to do her third throw.
Oh my God. That's amazing. Yeah, so being that height so 6 foot tall at the age of 10 when you're still in primary school, then 6'2" at 12 when you're at intermediate. What were you like as a person? Were you self-conscious? Were you confident? What did people say?
Yeah.
Like, what's the weather like up there?
Super not self-confident, like self-conscious.
Because you just want to fit in, right?
Yeah. And so quite, and you didn't like sticking out in a crowd and everyone sort of saying how tall you are and which. You're well aware of. And obviously, when you're at school at that age and the boys grow slower than the girls anyway, and so you're just looking for something that you are good at. And so sport, I guess, was an area that I kind of felt comfortable. Netball was, when I started playing netball, it was like I met a whole lot of other tall timber.
You found your tribe.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. And then, within our own family, you kind of, it's the norm. I've got cousins on my mum's side that are 6'7", 6'8". And so, and our kids now are 6'5", 6'4". So, yeah.
And what was your connection like with your cultures growing up? Samoan culture or the Irish culture? Was that were you like raised as like a wheat bix eating Kiwi kid, or was there a connection to those roots?
I mean, you create your own culture at home, like your own. It's like your family is your team that you're creating, and so we were very Catholic. We had our rituals, went to church on Sundays. We knew that Samoan, our Samoan roots, and we would have family come and live with us from over in Samoa, because Dad was the eldest of his siblings, and he was the first to come out to New Zealand, and then he would sort of sponsor his brothers and cousins, and so you always were used to people coming through, and Mum was from a big family too, so it's and I guess that whole thing around Dad was once he was competing, but then he was coaching, and both Mum and Dad ended up coaching sport, and you always had the athletes over, and it was like you had family upon family, which is pretty much what we replicate now with Dion and myself. With we've done some coaching, and you end up that's another team or another group that you belong to, and I think that's the great thing about sport.
Yeah, I've never heard anyone frame it that way, but that feels like an aha moment for me, that your family is each family has their own sort of culture.
Yeah.
It's a really good way of looking at it.
And you create it. You set the rules and the boundaries and how you engage, but a whole lot comes down to everything happens at home, right? So you talk about it all happening around the dinner table, and that's where the real gold moments happen, where you're sharing not just food, but because all cultures combine over food, but it's that that sharing of your day and being able to, talk about learnings and I think that's what I guess in a world where things have got faster and faster and the ease of food and you kind of lose a lot of those moments to connect and even the old washing the dishes as much as when we were growing up and you fought and with your brothers and but actually they were moments to be able to unpack things and chat about your day and and it's discipline. It's like it's all stuff that you laugh about it, but when you lose that time, I mean that's just it gets spent on devices now. So I think it's that you can't take away in a world of AI, which everyone is embracing and rightly so, but you still can't take away those that people contact and
that human connection.
Yeah,
100%.
Yeah.
It's funny, you and I are similar ages, and there are parallels with our upbringings. There's the dishes thing. But we did an appalling job of washing and drying the dishes. I look back now, the dishwasher is a far more effective way. But also the Catholic thing as well. What's your relationship with religion like now? Did you sort of dump it as soon as you became an adult? Would you still call yourself
really.
Catholic?
So we've brought all of our children have come through the Catholic system, the schooling system, and I find it a really everyone's entitled to their own beliefs, but it's a really I think the most important thing is that you need to believe in something, and I find it really therapeutic, but just to be able to escape. As we were travelling after World Champs with the netballers, so it was in 1996, we Debbie Fuller, Julie Seymour and myself, we went backpacking around Europe, and when we got to Italy, to the Vatican, they were like, Bernie, you need to go in and go to confession and tell us what it's all about. They were just fascinated by the whole, and so I did. And but when we also when we got to Venice, we couldn't find, it was like a Friday night in the middle of it was like 10 p.m. and there was nowhere to stay. And we ended up, I looked up the guidebook and there was a Catholic convent on this little island that only took women. And we basically slept in this church in these little single beds. And they were like, Bernie, you need to lead the way. And so, but yeah, I feel quite grounded, in my beliefs.
Right, so your faith definitely has a part in your life today.
Yeah, it has a part in my life. Yeah. I find and in my children's lives, it is part of very much so in Pacific culture. It's very much part of the culture and the way, and it's really, I know when my boys love and Indy as well, the singing and the beautiful hymns, the way the Pacific culture really embrace religion as well. Yeah.
So netball. So you make the Silver Ferns when you're 17. You're still at school. Actually, I've got a photo here. That's yeah, that's it.
Can we just talk about this?
How do you...
So can I just talk about this? This is like a moment in time, right? So we had finished a netball training, and these were not the days that clearly that there were false eyelashes and
hair and makeup
and
people.
We even did our hair. We trained hard, and then they basically said, we're going to, we've got your head and shoulders photos for Netball New Zealand. Can you just roll through and, take these photos? I did not know that these photos were going to stay with us for the next 37 years or whatever. I mean, that is on the Netball New Zealand website.
But you're so young. Like you're literally like just you're a young adult. But you're
18.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, about the same age as what your daughter is now.
Yeah.
And here you are playing for the national team. So when you think of it like that, like this is the same age as your daughter, it's young, right?
Yeah. It was really young. And I remember being absolutely petrified of, kind of in awe of these players that I had been selected to play with in the New Zealand team. And then and we met. That first tour that I was on, we met in Tauranga and we were on a marae and there was Tanya Cox and Joan Hodson and Julie Carter and Anna Norval, all these legends, and I'd watch them playing and then next minute I was thrown in with them, and I just remember every training in Tauranga feeling like I was going to vomit. Like I just wanted to prove that I was good enough to be there because, no one actually really talked to me. I mean, I'm sure they did, but it felt like I was competition. This young kid had come in and was trying to get their position, and so they were not going to make my path easy. Yeah. Was there anyone that any of the senior players that sort of took you under their wings or like mothered you or nurtured you? Not that I actually, maybe not. Like I just, you like from where you are now, you think that'd be an instinct thing to do, right? There's this young girl here who's the imposter syndrome must be unreal at that age. Yeah, I was lucky that Leilani Reid had made the team at the same time, and she was a year. So I was 17, she was 18, and so basically we were like joined at the hip, and we only spoke if we were spoken to, and just put our heads down and got on with it. And so this was the late 90s, so early 90s. Early 90s. Yeah, 92. Oh, so pre-internet. 92. Pre-internet. Yeah. So the only negativity you would have... Thankfully. So I suppose the negativity you would have had back then would have been, I don't know, maybe some comments from fans that you see in person or sporting reporters online or anything like that. But yeah, was there any negativity towards you and how did you handle it? Well, I had also kind of displaced, I know Julie Townsend had been dropped for me coming in as well. So, and she was a legend of the game. So, yeah, you were definitely under full scrutiny. And I wasn't even in the New Zealand squad, so it was kind of being plucked from obscurity. Like a wild card. Yeah. So you just kind of you just had to get on with it, basically, and man up or toughen up and see if you could make it. Yeah, well, and you did, but yeah, was it tough? Yeah, it was. It was tough. Like you just, as I said, you felt like being sick at every training. Like you just ran as hard as you could, and I was fit because I was doing athletics then as well, and I remember all the fitness testing. I was, in the top level. So, and that's youth on your side as well. But there's always lots of learnings. There's the off the court and there's mental preparation, and I guess we're pretty blessed. That at Canterbury level we'd had Lee Gibbs coaching us as well. So for a couple of years I'd been under Lee, and Lee had really prepared us well physically. And that was the early days of she was teaching at Hillmilton High School with Gilbert Anoka, and so she had brought Gilbert in, and it was his early foray into sports psychology, I guess, and so we'd started, and I remember Gilbert saying to me, you've got a really good kind of understanding or that kind of natural thinking in that sports psychology field. And so, it was that kind of, you knew that some people out there had some belief in you, and then, there was that real potential to grow there.
Because the outcome was very good, obviously. Like you're a legend of the game, but it could have crushed you, right? It could have easily gone the other way. What are your memories of your first time playing for New Zealand, putting on the black dress?
So I didn't play the first tour that I was on against Australia, and I felt really. I just remember watching the speed of the ball and feeling like it was like that imposter syndrome. It was so fast, and the ball just spun around, and and thinking, I'm not sure if I want to go on the court. And then my second tour was to England at the end of the year, so it was my 7th form year at school. The Under-21 World Cup was happening in December, and I'd been aiming for that, but they didn't select me for the Under-21s. They took me to England instead the month before that, and I played every test over there. My first test was at Wembley. There was like a massive packed stadium. It was full, and Tanya Cox was behind me, so I took the bib at goal defence, and as we were we got out on the court, and it felt like the ball was spinning, and then all of a sudden Tans just smashed the ball into my guts, and so I had to catch it, and then I was away, and that was it. Yeah.
Then I suppose that you just sort of go into that sort of flow state, or you just muscle memory, or whatever it is. You just know what to do.
Just look for the ball and go for it. Go get it, intercept it.
And then 18, it was suggested that you retire because you had knee issues.
Yeah, so I went to it was the next year, the next tour. We went to the World Games in The Hague, and in our just before we left New Zealand, in a drill, I hurt my knee, and so I did the whole tour over to The Hague, played the World Cup in World Games, and then came back, and my knee was, by the end of the tour, it was so huge, and so they went to see what damage I'd done, and so as it turned out, I had done my ligaments and my cartilage, but I also had bone chips and damage. So a bit like Michael Jones, the wear and tear kind of knee damage. And I know Mum and Dad's coach, Valdi Bredis, he reckoned that, because I'd grown so quickly, that there's always going to be a weak spot. And so his theory was that my knees were the weak spot. So then the doctors recommended that I retire from New Zealand level and just swim for pleasure and be a university student, which didn't sit well with me. So I just figured that I wanted to have no regrets, and so I've retrained my biomechanics. So I was really pigeon-toed, and so that was putting pressure down the outside of my knees. So I had to learn to refire all my muscles and walk again, then run again. It was a really slow recovery, but I had focused on that end goal of coming back and seeing if I could play for New Zealand again, and being able to manage my knees and come back. I don't think, after a big injury, it's pretty hard to come back as good as you were before. But yeah, I guess I etched out to make, do the 10 years with the Silver Ferns after that.
Right, so for your entire career, which was, all things given, was a long one, and 76 tests?
78, yeah.
78 tests. Was it just a case of just coexisting with this knee?
Yeah,
the entire time?
I was lucky that Sharon, our physio, would help me manage it, because it was hard to not do everything that everyone did. So, but I would on tour, because you would train 2 or 3 times a day on tour, but with loading or on a hard surface, so the concrete surface, because I basically had no cushioning in my knee, and so if it blew up, like to get the swelling down was really hard, and so you had to manage the swelling. Because it meant that if you've got all that swelling, your reaction's slow. So that was like Sharon would watch me running and see my movements and check the swelling, and if it's too swollen, you can't train today. And so kind of hard within a team where everyone's going, at full speed and to every training that I would have to sit out some trainings, and but then you were still fighting for your bib on the court. So, kind of hard for some of the other players to understand that that I wasn't just getting a free ticket out of there. Yeah.
Oh, you weren't just like trying to get off training or anything. Yeah. What sort of impact, if any, did this have on you mentally?
Look, you just you can only control what you can control. I had to do lots of water work. Had to get better at swimming, but running in the water, it was the beginning of the flotation belts.
Aqua jogging. I've done some of that. Oh my God, it's tedious.
And so being able to bring in different methods of training as well. So I remember in a tour to England. And we were at Crystal Palace, and so I wasn't. So in the end, I wasn't the only one that was aqua jogging. I remember Linda Vangana and the rest of the defenders coming with me. So it probably brought in different, made them look at different methods of training too.
Yes, I've had some knee issue. I gave aqua jogging a go a few years ago, and I thought, maybe it won't be like I imagine it to be, but it was exactly how I imagined it. Was 70-year-old women, just a me in a pool full of like women in their 70s.
Yeah. If you're a runner, it is quite a hard transition. So I think that you have to work within your limits as well, but. Prior to big injuries, I remember that whole mindset of thinking, basically that I could get to any ball on the court. I remember Lynn Gunson was our first coach, and she used to do a drill where they would throw the ball at 2/3 and time that you could get all the way back to the circle to get the ball. And so basically that made us believe and I believed that I could get any ball within those 2/3 once it was in the air.
Wow.
But I think, as injuries sort of set in, by the end of my career, I was pretty much strapped up, 2 ankles, 2 knees, and that's kind of the trigger for, when it was time to retire, was thinking of future and being able to do things with my future children.
How's your body now? Have you've had a knee reconstruction or
not a reconstruction? I've had, luckily I didn't do an ACL, but just lateral ligaments and lots of clearing out of the debris in my knee, and then my ankle, bit of wear and tear in there as well.
And while this Silver Ferns career was going on, it was all on the backdrop, initially with the end of secondary school, but then teachers' college as well, and then as a secondary school teacher, which is amazing, really. So there was no money in netball, or did you get some like per diems when you were?
Per diems, but like there was really no. We were amateur, but I always remember Cheryl Wells, our New Zealand manager, saying, but we aim to be more professional than the professionals and conduct ourselves in such a way that we, shine above. And so that was how we conducted ourselves. And so a lot of us were teachers because it fitted in with tours, and you had to, if you weren't working, you were studying, But I do think that definitely helped for post career, post New Zealand career. That transition wasn't as difficult in that you always had something to fall back on, or you had another career and you had other identities as well within. Yeah.
Was it hard juggling both though?
Yeah, there were some crazy times. There were definitely some crazy times of like when I was teaching at Otago Girls and we were about to head off on the tour to South Africa, and it was exams, and I had hundreds of exams to mark, and I couldn't get through them all and write the reports, and we were flying into camp to do sort of our media, photos and signings and trainings, and so I talked to my HOD and I packaged them all up, and I said I was going to courier them down before we flew out to South Africa. And I just remember, like, each English exam was taking me an hour to mark, and I had 60 to finish off. And so every spare moment I was in my room marking these exams, and I just remember we were signing the posters, like we had these signing sessions, and Belinda Colling was saying to me, how can we help, Bernie? Can we help you get through this? And so I had a few of them line up, and some were helping me transfer the mark into my marking book, and then onto the reports, and then I was writing the comments, and then we were checking off, and I managed to get them in the courier and send them off before we departed for Johannesburg. And but even when you thought you were busy, I think that was kind of the refreshing thing. You would come into camp, and Leslie Nicol was studying physio. She went on to study medicine, and Linda Vangana was, she was she was working and studying and running her local youth group and caring for parents. It was like, as busy as you thought you were, when you got into camp, you knew there was always someone that was busier than you, and there was always someone that was doing more than you. So it just kind of put things in perspective.
That's such a great story, though, outsourcing your marking to the Silver Ferns. That's
I didn't
teamwork.
outsource the marking. They were transferring the marks in. There were jobs that they could do.
Okay, calm down.
He's calling me out.
It's a surreal thought, though, Ella. So here you are, one of New Zealand's top netballers in our national team, playing at the highest level, and you've got a class load of kids. Yeah, you were kind of famous at the time.
Well, it didn't matter to them. They didn't care. I
suppose, that shine would wear off very quickly. At the end, you're just a teacher that's going to give them good marks or bad marks.
Yeah, that's right. And when you're teaching in the classroom, you're trying to get them, to all pass their exams, right?
And becoming captain of the Silver Ferns at 20, is 22 very young to become captain? It seems very young. Obviously, you were experienced. You'd been in the team for 5 years by then, but... Yeah. Was that a young age to become captain?
Yeah, I think so. Probably. I had some experience with... Because my second year in the Canterbury team, Lee made me vice-captain of the Canterbury team at 18. And so, which, again, poses challenges of captaining much, much older players and more experienced players. And so you definitely have to find a way to earn their respect and to be able to lead them.
How do you do that? How do you find their respect?
Well, only by performing on the court first and foremost, but also, respecting what they bring to the team as well. I know, John Graham was one of Dion's managers in one of what he views to be one of their best cricket teams with the Black Caps. And he always said when he was leading and, in charge at Auckland Grammar that he surrounded himself by, the best. And so more, I think, more competent, more intelligent, is in that surround yourself with the best. So they push you, but they also, they fill the gaps that you have as well. And so I think that's the trick with leadership in that space, is that you really tap into them leading with you, and how you motivate them and make them feel valued as senior members is important.
How much harder is it being captain to just being a player, like in terms of the workload?
There's quite a lot of responsibility just in terms of the commitments off the court, but also you've been put in that position because you have the physical ability to perform, and you need to be able to perform and be relied on the court. So there's that consistency key. And then off the court, being able to interact with the media, be the spokesperson as well. But also, it's that bringing the team together. And so there's quite a bit in terms of planning with the coach. So the coach and captain relationship's key. And I know it's, and there always is a captain for a coach. So, when there's changes, there's inevitably there'll be, there's a team to lead a team, and so you need to work well together.
Do you have a favourite coach from your career, like a standout?
I think back and think how lucky I was to have been exposed to such good coaches across the board, and you always will, you'll take you'll take some pieces that resonate from each coach that you've been exposed to, and you kind of create your own combination. So, like as I said, Lee was, she was former Silver Fern, and she was the Canterbury coach at the time, and so I learnt a lot about that work ethic and that mental power and resilience. Then I had Lynn Gunson, who was she used to give me things to think about that I'd never really entertained that thought, so kind of challenged your thinking. And then Yvonne Willering, when she was coaching New Zealand, and she really focused on the intercepts, and she was a goal defence as well. And so she tapped into that, like that idea of you're in charge on defence and you're setting up and making the space and making it look free. It was a real, and then being able to go and gobble them up, So I enjoyed that. And then I had Robin Broughton, who was, she was right time for me to be exposed to Robin. She was also Young Internationals, which was the old feeder to the New Zealand team, so the young crew coming through. So we were really lucky that we had a good stable of former Silver Ferns that had gone straight back into coaching and imparting their knowledge. So in that space.
What would be your absolute peak and absolute rock bottom from your time in Silver Ferns?
Rock bottom was losing the 99 World Champs in Christchurch.
I had that.
You're going to say I've written it down.
I actually have that in brackets because I wondered if so you were lost in the final to Australia, and you had a big lead going into the fourth quarter, and then lost,
and it was so loud in that stadium. We'd done so much work, for the 4 years prior to that. We were super fit. We were definitely, on paper, we were the better team, and then in the last quarter, Australia just clawed back, and it was so loud in the stadium that you could not hear anything. So
loud screaming for the Silver Ferns or for us?
The whole. Well, I mean, for the Silver Ferns, right. But for the whole game. So
okay.
But you so much so that you struggled to connect with the players down the court, which is really important on the court, right? So I just remember Don's shooting, and because we played together in Southland, and I would always talk to her, call to her, and on the shots, and yeah, you just knew that she couldn't hear you, and it was just you're so isolating. And then we lost in the final few seconds of that game. There was a missed shot, the ball came down, I couldn't stop it, and then they had a centre pass, and yeah, they shot it through and won. And just there was absolute silence in the stadium. Everyone was on their feet. And I just remember looking at the rest of the team, and we were like, well, God, what have we done? Like, this is, yeah, we've lost it. And it took, a long time for those individual players to recover from that, and to build back up. Yeah. Yeah.
Were you captain at the time?
No, Belinda Colling was captain. Yeah. I was vice. I think I was vice. Yeah.
How long did it take to get over that? When I had your husband Dion on the podcast, he said there's times even now that he'll be in the shower thinking about things he could have done differently through his career. Like, is it something that's still? I mean, it's a long time ago. It's a quarter of a century ago, but you still, is it something that still plays on your mind from time to time, or not really?
Well, yeah. You do think about those losses, but that's look, they're crushing, but they're big learning. That's when you learn the most through that adversity. We had just before that. Before the World Champs, Leilani Reid had passed away. So Leilani, I'd started my Silver Ferns career in the team with her in '92. And so in many ways there was, some perspective in that, we were still, we had lost and it felt like we were rock bottom, but we were still blessed with life. And
it's only a game.
That's right, we're still alive. And so, but it did make you rethink goals and what you wanted to achieve. And then conversely, when you have your big wins, I always found that you think it's going to be more elation than there is. Like, I remember the big wins with the Sting, and even with New Zealand, and in many ways it was relief, because you had that absolute belief that you could do it, and so when you actually fulfilled it, it was more relief and absolute exhaustion, like dragging yourself off the court, than
like an expectation rather than a surprise. Like, well, good. This is the outcome we should have had.
This is what we've been working towards, and then knowing that you had to reset again. Like, after every tour, you have a massive time of almost a real downer, because you're on tour together, you're living and breathing everything. You're rooming with someone the whole time, and then you would come back to everyday life, and have that real sit on the end of your bed moment of, back to the day-to-day grind. Because there's a real adrenaline rush, obviously, with sport itself, and then when you're in the limelight for New Zealand, even more so, you carry that kind of responsibility of the country, that feeling that you're out there, you're very privileged to wear the Silver Fern and to be one of 12 at that time to lead the country. And so, there is that shouldering of responsibility that you have over that period as well.
Oh, what about the absolute peak? So we've addressed the rock bottom, but what's the peak? Is it the Commonwealth Games medal? No?
That's what I was saying, that like when you did have the wins, that you...
you're just expecting them?
Well, not expecting them. It was just relief that you had achieved your goal. It was, when you got the team to fire and be at its absolute best was a real kind of, that was key, yeah. And so I think that, I think really fondly of my time down in the Sting with Robin and the winning run that we had down there with her, but and it was creating a fervour in an area that they just lapped it up, and the full support, and then I think just that, always captaining New Zealand's a real honour as well. So that's probably the peak. Yeah.
The Southern Sting era that you're talking about, was that with the glitter wigs? Was that the glitter wigs era?
And the wigs.
Yeah. That was massive, eh? Where did the wig thing start from? That was huge for a time, eh?
I'm not sure, but
everyone wore the glitter wigs, the look sharp wigs.
It was, it was big. They queued overnight. It was the beginning of the queuing overnight outside Centennial Hall for a spot to watch the team play. And, it was a tiny hall, and it was people took their sleeping bags, and they queued for tickets, and they queued to get in, and it was kind of felt like a real turning point for netball itself, like that. That was the start of the National League that kind of started momentum.
Yeah. And how did you, how was the transition to life post-professional sport? Did you leave on your own terms, or?
Yeah, so Dion and I retired within the same year. We were basically his back and my knees and ankles, and there was a lot of Voltaren.
You needed an endorsement deal.
The anti-inflammatories just to train and get by, and so. But then there's always a really difficult transition for all athletes when you retire, and so we both started studying the postgraduate career counselling for elite performers, which sort of starts out in that phase, and I don't think he completed it, but I completed that qualification, and then sort of jumped back into working with athletes that on their career pathways sort of journey, and then that helped me understand what we were going through, and the theory of it is that the more hats that you have while you're playing elite sport provides a smoother transition, or a shorter transition often. Like there was case studies of triathletes or that took 10 or more years to transition. It's because it's your view of yourself, and is wrapped up in your persona. So the more personas and the wider network of friends outside of your kind of chosen sport is also important too.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that. I've asked Terenzo Bizzoni on the podcast a couple of times. Very, very good Ironman, but he's finished doing that now. And he said he's keen to do the podcast, but just not right now. He goes, I just need to figure out where I am and what I'm doing next before I do it.
Yeah.
Because I think there's part of him that maybe feels like a bit embarrassed or a bit inadequate at the moment, that he hasn't figured out what the next chapter of his life is.
Yeah,
it's interesting. It leaves a big void, I guess, and it's a void that like 99% of us, even more than that, can't even imagine what it's like.
Well, it's quite similar to someone that's possibly had 25 years in banking, and then they've decided to change pathways, or they've retired, after a longer period of time, and so your whole idea of yourself is wrapped up in that career, and so there's trying to figure out your next steps, and feeling like you are starting at the beginning again is challenging, and your idea of success, and your, like, I think with sport as well, like your whole ego is wrapped up in your success in sport.
Must have been helpful, you and Dion having each other. You're both in this very, very unique position where you both played at your sport at the highest level, both been captains for the country. So I suppose if he's having a bad day, maybe you'll bring him up. Or if you're having a bad day, he'll pump him up. Is that how that sort of dynamic worked at that time?
Yeah, really like-minded, that we could discuss the ups and downs and the challenges, the injury challenges, and but also that ability, I think, to challenge each other on different things. I think we work well together. Like, we're similar in many ways, but different, very different. Probably people will think. I think from the outset that people think that that I'm one way and he's the other, and but we're actually the opposite.
What do you think people think?
I think they always used to say that I was always kind of the smiling, smiling and seem really nice, but I can be pretty tough underneath it all. And he will keep overthinking things, and he's pretty sensitive. And around the house, Dion's all about colour and look and feel, and I've got a tool belt.
Oh, that's cool.
I always joke at work that I'm probably like the the technicians that I'm like, that's get to the real steps and to the answer.
So what's the meeting story with you guys? Was that Sol Bar? He was at the table next to you, and he shouted you some shots.
Le Mans, which was down on Prince's Wharf, and so I was out with two of the netballers, and we were up for the review of the 99 World Champs loss, and Dion had been sent home from India injured, and he was out with his niece and sister for his birthday, and he brought some drinks across and said hard luck about World Champs, and then pulled his chair in a little bit later. But that was not after, when he put the drinks down, that I thought that, Belinda Blair had said, "Is that Dion Nash?" And Leslie had said, "Who?" And so he and then he Gilbert and Oka connected us actually after that.
Oh, so he hit Gilbert up for your number. Is that what you mean?
Possibly. That might be the story that's gone around.
Did you think anything of him at that first meeting? Did you think, he's kind of cute, or
were you not? Yeah. I thought that we had a bit of fun. I did think that maybe he got the wrong idea. And I remember trying to. He was like, "Oh, I'll buy a drink," and then I put my arm out to block him, and he slipped his arm through and got the wrong idea. So that kind of really tells. That's what I mean about our personalities. And he was all excited, and he was like, oh, and I thought, geez, he's got the wrong idea.
That paints such a funny visual. So you're sitting there blocking him, and
I went to block him, and then he was like slipped his arm through.
So, when did you realise he was the one? Was it like a slow burn, or?
Oh no, he rang. I was doing College of Education in Invercargill, and rang a Bloxham who was at T-Col down there with me, and Dion had rung and left a message, and when I heard the message, she said, "Oh, you looked, your reaction was quite excited, but we just, I think we got on really well from the beginning."
Who said "I love you" first?
I can't remember that.
Yes, you can.
I imagine it was him.
Hey, he's not here to defend himself. Yeah. Yeah, how long have you been married now? What is it? Actually, I've got a photo here of you guys on your wedding day. Look at that.
Oh, look how young we are.
You do look so young, eh? So, yeah, but that was it. You weren't though. I mean, it's quite funny, eh? So that was you'd both represented New Zealand and captained your national teams at that point. But you look so fresh.
2003. We're coming up 23 years married.
Yeah. Ever come close to packing it in?
No.
No. What's the key?
We're very, like you kind of weather most things together. As I said, I think we're quite a good team. Like we even out each other, and we're able to kind of stretch each other and even out things and work through. And we always manage to have fun together as well. So yeah.
Yes, it's a really successful partnership, eh?
Yeah, and I think we talk a lot. We talk about everything. So when you say about that, like this early morning, this is not that early morning, but we
it is 7 a.m. on a Friday.
We have a little ritual because I always bounce out of bed and the espresso machine's been on overnight, and I make us an espresso and we sit and talk. First thing in the morning about the day ahead and what's on and what needs to be done, and and we check in during the day.
Is that a natural thing, or is that something that you've had to sort of work on? Because I think that's probably, the demise of a lot of relationships. You just don't make a conscious effort to have that communication piece.
Yeah, I think communication's key. I mean, we've had times where we probably haven't been great. I've been, accused of not being a great communicator at times when you just kind of get, and that's often when you get really busy with things, right? And so it is about prioritising it, and it can get pretty blimmin' hectic with when you've got 3 toddlers. I remember it was the crazy days of 3 under 4.5 was pretty full on. But I think you end up making it through those ages and stages.
The trenches.
The trenches. And making sure that you enjoy the time that you do have with, it goes pretty quickly where they're out the door in no time.
What's been your biggest adversity as a couple?
I don't know, probably the transition from elite sport across, like Dion finding a career, outside of cricket, that he'd never had a job other than cricket. Until he retired, whereas I was in quite a different situation. So I think that creates a bit of, some challenges in itself where he didn't know where his next step was. So, like you say, and then I think conversely when he jumped in there and was working at 42 Below and doing a lot of travelling overseas, that always puts strain on relationships when especially like the alcohol industry is not a particularly healthy family environment, and so when we started having kids, and that was when he broke away and said, "Look, I want to try and." I don't know if I can work for I don't know if I can work for anyone, like as in employable skills. So I'd like to start my own business, and I said, well, yeah, let's do it now, and give it a go for at least 10 years, and now's the time to do it. And so, we sold our house, and he did, and set up in our next home, boxes of Triumph and Disaster in the hallway, and kids crawling over it and kind of making your way. And I think it's been like his labour of love, but he absolutely is so invested in the brand and loves what the products that he's producing and the journey that he's on. And then that whole transition for me, post kids, like kind of juggling work and going back to find yourself post, being a mum, which I love being a mum, but also, trying to figure out something that you're good at as well.
I didn't realise that aspect of Triumph and Disaster, it's a great brand that he's built, but I didn't realise that you guys were all in, like selling the house, putting all your money into it. Big risk.
Big risk, yeah.
Big risk.
But I think that's kind of like your, you do it as a couple and you do it as a team, and just, you can always change course. You can, really everything's within your control, and just try and make good decisions together.
Which products do you like? Do you have Shearer's soap in the shower? Do you use Rock and Roll face scrub?
Rock and Roll, so the Rock and Roll face scrub.
So good.
And the moisturiser, so the Game Face is like we just, the kids, the teenagers fly through the Game Face. We're always stealing Dion's. You're like running around the house. But yeah, it's there's products all over the place. Yeah.
They're great products. Yeah, I'm sure you've played a part in it, but it's his baby. You must be so proud of like what he's built.
Yeah, really proud.
Yeah.
And but really, it's been all him. He's creative. I just provide some home support. Yeah.
Yeah. So, 2 national captains in the house. Who's like the leader or the boss, or is it sort of?
Do you have to ask that question? I mean, is it obvious? I'm the boss.
Yeah, from my dealings with him, he seems like quite a passive, cruisy guy, and so I suppose someone has to have the role of leader. But yeah, I just wonder how it is, or does it change from day to day, period to period?
Oh yeah, no, it does. It does change. Yeah, I mean, I'm probably the home stability in terms of like feeding everyone and and keeping some continuity. But yeah, Dion's that, like, he's a driver as well. But we definitely. I mean, I keep saying to Indy, Jet, and Sol that, look, if you can survive these parents, you can survive anyone out there in the in the world.
Yeah. Oh, well, what do you mean?
We're pretty tough. I think.
Like tough on them, or just high expectations, or
yeah, high expectations. Yeah. But tough but fair. But I don't think it can be easy for them, being our as in people's expectations of them outside. Like looking in, like expecting them to be, sports people, or, and, talent, or kind of all eyes on them. You just really want them to develop in their own way and in their own personalities, and not be known as Dion and Bernie's, Dion's son or Bernie's daughter. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that piece must be hard. I've had both Ryan Fox and Grant Fox on the podcast, and the most recently Grant Fox, and he said it was like really cool for him to see that he's now Ryan Fox's dad. Yeah, because for so long it was that's Ryan, Grant Fox's son.
Yeah.
So from a parenting perspective, that's really cool. Do you so you guys both former captains, as we've established, and you're in an HR role at Hyundai, so you're obviously very good at communication and having difficult conversations. What's your argument styles like, or are you both quite good at?
I'm probably naturally a bit of an avoider, because I do like peace. And
well, no one likes conflict, eh? And I suppose if you're dealing with peace,
Dion loves a good argument. Like, he loves a really good, and sometimes he will kind of needle me to antagonise. But I can be pretty stubborn when I want to be. So dig the heels in.
what would if he was here, what do you think he would say your best and worst qualities are?
Well, he would say that my stubbornness probably is one of my worst qualities.
How bad is it?
And then maybe my best qualities is that he has observed before that he said he marvels that I genuinely love people, so a people person. Yeah.
What about him? Best and worst qualities?
Best qualities, probably his energy and creativeness and drive. And worst qualities, he can be quite black and white on when he gets something in his head. Yeah.
A fixed mindset. Are you guys quite competitive with each other?
Yeah.
Who's worse?
It would be hard to push to single someone out. Our whole household is pretty competitive. We play sport eagerly as a family, but there's always fights. Yeah.
What about with things that don't necessarily require that sort of level of extreme competitiveness, like board games,
cards?
Oh, just anything.
Yeah.
Oh, did I hear a story about you guys like during the COVID lockdown? Like you were like
beep test?
Yeah. You're going to the park each day, eh?
Twice a week.
Twice a week.
It might have been 3 times. Yeah, we would run the kids' beep test, but we did it with them, and people from the park would bring their deck chairs out and watch us. There'd be arguments on the way home about like someone not hitting the line.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
The cone.
So what does home life look like now? So your eldest has left home?
Yeah. Yeah, he's at university. We've got 2 at home. So it's still... we always said about having 3 children that it was like going from 2 to 3 was like going from man on man to zone defence, and now we've gone back to man on man again. So and it means that we've got 1 more to teach to drive, it won't be long before they're all out the door, I'm sure. So we're kind of refocusing on preparing ourselves for life after children, probably.
Yeah. How is this chapter looking for you guys? It's a strange time in life, eh?
Yeah, it is. But
you're still both quite young on the big scheme of things.
We're not that young. We're actually kind of we're old parents at schools, at some of the schools with the at the pickup and things. But I actually don't feel as old as I am. So I've been coaching Indy's Prem netball team, and I love that. Mum always said that coaching kept her young, and teaching kept her young, kind of being in a school environment. And I think that like dealing with teenagers does that. So I think, enjoy it while you can.
And I've got this photo here. This is the cover of the Women's Weekly from 2010. Do you remember that?
Yeah. That was Last Baby.
Yeah. Yeah, that was controversial at the time, eh?
It was really controversial, yeah.
So for anyone that's listening to this, not watching it, it was Demi Moore did this cover for Vanity Fair when she was heavily pregnant. It's like a tasteful nude with a big baby bump. And you did a homage to that in the New Zealand Women's Weekly. It says, Bernice Mene celebrates the joy of motherhood. What are your recollections of that?
So there was lots of fallout. I know my dad and brothers weren't like that comfortable with it.
Like a conservative Samoan thing, or
I think just because everyone had an opinion on it. But I mean, it was my 3rd baby. I was never going to, in my mind, I wasn't going to have another one. And it was like celebrating, celebrating the joy and the blessing of life, really. So. So why not? And
it's a beautiful photo.
Yeah.
Are you proud of it?
Yeah, proud of it. Yeah.
Do you, the more years that go by, like I'm sure there was like maybe at the time like a sour taste in your mouth because you don't want to let people down. You don't want your family to, it bums you out. But
I think we had it on the wall in the hallway at the top of the stairs, and I think we took it down because I think Jet was embarrassed when he brought friends around. It's like, that's me, that's me in there. That's your mother.
Yeah. So in 2010, what did backlash look like then? This is like pre-Facebook, I'm guessing. There was like MySpace and Bebo, and that's probably it.
Yeah, I don't even remember that. It was more general,
just comments
talk, but it didn't faze me. Like, honestly, people are entitled to have their opinion, and it kind of is just a reflection of their mindset. You know, even now, everyone comes from their own perspective and their own view, and so I mean, that's the beauty of people, right? Like, everyone's totally different. But I think the one thing I remember, Solomon, my eldest, he was a toddler, I think, and he was holding my hand, and I can't remember what I said, but he said, "Mama," he said, "never judge," and I think, you know, like, out of the mouth of babes, right? Like, you know, never judge. Like, you know, that is probably the downfall of people, is that whole judgment, and just accept people for who they are.
Wow, that's such a healthy space to be playing in. It's only the last couple of years that I've got to the point where I realise other people's opinion of me is none of my business. Yeah. But it's taken a long time to get there.
Yeah, it's hard. I mean, it is hard. And I know, like that. I do this personality testing with lots of the leadership, teenage leadership programs, the Pinnacle program that I'm involved with. And it's looking at, you know, how you are and how you communicate and how you react to things, and like, you know, it kind of flows off me now. But I guess that's probably why I don't, like you say, do as many media things as I want. Like, it's like keeping things in a world of social media. I like to stay quite private, and not put yourself out there for judgment, right? And so, whereas also, you know, I know that, say, for Dion, it does affect him hugely. You know, he does worry a lot of what people think of him, but it's quite nice to be able to, you know, give your own thoughts and perspective to each other as well.
He wears his heart on his sleeve, doesn't he?
He does.
Yeah. Bless.
Yeah.
Dancing with the Stars. You were in the first season of Dancing with the Stars too.
I was. Yeah.
Yeah. Now,
groundbreaking.
So Dancing with
Groundbreaking.
Groundbreaking. Oh, why do you say that sarcastically?
Only because I feel quite lucky to have done the first show. But also that there's no footage of me out there dancing. So
is there not? There must be on YouTube. It's got to be.
There's nothing. Right. It's great. Like, actually, my netball team this year tried to find it, and to no avail.
Because anyone that does any first season of a reality show, it's sort of like a trailblazer. Like, you're going into the dark. You don't know what the expectation is. Like, it's, well, you know, if you get asked to go on Dancing with the Stars now, you can, you know, phone someone up that's been on a previous season and find out what it's like. But you had no sort of blueprint. Who was in the first season?
Who? Shane Cortez.
Right. Oh, and Nerida. Yeah.
Norm Hewitt.
Did he win? Norm won, didn't he?
Norm won.
Yeah.
Shad Bolt.
Oh, Tim.
Yep.
Iconic.
Those three were above me. So I got fourth. Teresa Healy, Georgina Bayer, Nikki Watson. Yeah, she was first to get voted out.
Oh my God, some legendary names there. Iconic.
Yeah, it was.
And was Jason Gunn the host?
Yeah.
Yeah. And they had the live
and we
band.
Had live band, and it was the hardest thing I've ever done, actually. Harder than... I mean, because it's something that, you know, I was not good at it. And, you know, these limbs, they're hard to coordinate, such extremities. And then when you're dancing all day, every day for... and with that... you know, driven by the fear of a live performance at the end is frightening. Yeah.
Because you and I are about the same height. I reckon. I don't know. I think the taller you are, you always look gangly and awkward when you when you move. I don't know, but on reflection, is it sort of like type 2 fun? Like, it was horrible at the time, but you look back and it was actually.
I love dancing now. I really enjoy. Moving my body and music and I do. It was a great thing to have done, and to learn the discipline of Latin and ballroom, and it was great.
This has been a fun chat. Is it fun to reflect on all these?
Yeah, it is, and I probably don't give the time to reflect often on what's gone before.
Is that a growth mindset thing? Because you're just always looking at what's ahead.
Yeah, eyes up. And I know I was chatting to Linda Vangana. I often call her in the car, in my Hyundai on the way home, and she was saying, "Well, Burns, like it's up to us to shine the light." And yeah, we were singing along together. And yeah, I think you take it upon yourself to bring the positivity and bring the energy and shine the light.
I've actually got Linda coming in next week for a podcast record as well.
Brilliant. Yeah.
So when you say singing along, like she was on the phone and you were actually singing.
Oh, we were singing. This little light of mine, I'm going to let it shine. And laughing. And, you got it, honestly, laughter is just the medicine, right?
Yeah. Yeah, you mentioned driving in your Hyundai before, because you've been at Hyundai for a long time now, right?
Yeah, almost 12 years.
Yeah. In a very tough, challenging role and very tough, challenging conditions. Is it people and culture or HR? Is it all the same sort of thing?
People and culture. Yeah.
So you have to like manage people out of jobs and let people go and have like difficult conversations is what you're getting paid to do.
Difficult conversations and create a good culture to perform in. You get the culture right, and then the outcomes and the results will happen. So that's what I work on day to day.
So you a permanent box of tissues on your desk?
Yeah. Well, maybe I don't have any in my office at the moment. Yeah.
Oh. Like a job like that, because I don't know, I'm probably projecting here, but I think most people actively avoid difficult conversations. I had Sir Steve Hansen on the podcast, and he called it, I think he had a percentage for it, I think he called it the 16%ers. So it's 84% of the conversations you have are nice, 16% of conversations have to be difficult ones. What's it like driving to work in the morning knowing that you've got like a set of difficult conversations coming up as part of your job?
Well, the key really is that to build relationships before you have to have the difficult conversations. So, if you get to know everyone that's within your family or your staff, and you have a history of that environment to have free-flowing conversations, they're not as difficult as ones where you've not dealt with someone on a one-to-one regularly. So the key is that consistency will help you in times that, in delivering tough messages.
It's quite funny, all the pieces of the Bernice Mene story. So there's having a class load of kids, captaining the Silver Ferns, and now this. And I suppose it's all sort of been like sharpening the axe and you growing as a person. But fuck, you must have learnt so much in this role over the last 12 years. Yeah,
really. And I think that being firm but fair, and so it is about it's. You do hone your skills and but the key is around, like, I'm always learning, and so I don't know the answers to everything, but I think when you can connect with people in a vulnerable way but then be able to set the goal and take everyone with you, that's the key to leadership.
How do you personally measure success in life today, professional and personal? I mean, like when you're a Silver Fern, it's easy, right? You win, you lose.
Yeah.
It's success or failure.
Well, for me, success is creating good humans with my 3 children and creating, happy, healthy, contributing members of society, and that they could be, we create it, allowing them to be the best that they could be, so that they can fulfil their potential. And so not just my 3, so that's kind of been a bit of a mandate of mine, is I love working with youth, I love kind of growing people, helping them grow their potential and be better than they were yesterday.
How scary are you as a mum? Touch wood, this never happens, but say one of the kids calls and they've like crashed a car or they, I don't know, spent a night in a police cell. Like, do they call you or Dion? How's the response going to be? Are you scary?
I imagine they'd call me, but I think that I think that you want to keep the channels of communication open. You always want them to be able to call you anytime. But on the odd occasion when the roar has been required, the roar does come.
The bear has been poked. Oh my
but
God.
It's rare.
Yeah. That's when you text you, and then put your phone on flight mode, give you 10 minutes to process. And, when people look back on Bernice Mene and say 20 years from now, what do you hope they say about you? Not as an athlete, but as a human being. I feel like you don't really care.
Yeah. Well, just hope that they believe that I've added value to this world. Yeah.
And a perfect day off for you? What does that look like?
Curling up in the sun with a good book and some music, some tunes playing in the background. Yeah. Yeah.
What sort of book?
I read everything, so I do love fiction and non-fiction, but a good novel. Yeah. I actually both Dion and I love a tactile book. We different genres, but then I've just encountered the Kindle, which I've been churning through a few books on the Kindle and recommendations. Yeah.
Kindle's convenient. It's not. I'm the same though. I love an old school book.
Yeah, love paper. And we have a big bookshelf of our books. We love reading.
What's the main genre? It's like sports biographies. Do
No.
you have many confessions in there?
Many confessions is in there. We don't have we've got some sport. Dion's coded them. He's got his
like color coded or alphabetical or
he's got his what do you call it? He's a separate book with everything that's on our bookshelf.
like a catalogue.
A catalogue. That's exactly what that is.
How many books have you got? They require a catalogue.
He's got first edition New Zealand history books up there and some beautiful, books. Yeah.
Wow. What's your inner critic, inner voice like? Are you quite kind to yourself, or are you always sort of like pushing yourself to do more or be better?
You've got to be kind to yourself. You've got to have that little voice that talks to yourself is so important. So just, that telling yourself you can do it, and that's the only way you can take risks, take calculated risks, but just to give yourself that energy to get up and go. Yeah.
Have you always been like that?
Yeah, I think I have. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
What are you most afraid of?
Most afraid of? I don't love spiders.
Well, that's good. Anyone that I ask that question to a lot of guests, and anyone that's got an answer like spiders or deep water or whatever, I think that's good.
I don't like deep water.
They're things that you can avoid.
Yeah.
Largely. What about flaws? What are your biggest flaws? What are you still working on as a person?
I'm known as being a bit of a dreamer. How's
that a flaw?
It can be if you are not a dreamer. Yeah, I mean, a dreamer can drift along in life. So, and so I think that's something that Dion, evens me up in that space. Yeah.
And what about future goals? Where do you see yourself at, let's say, 60? I suppose 60 is the next big milestone, right?
It's not that far.
What are you now, 50?
50.
Oh, come. It's a whole decade away.
We will be at 60. Hopefully having some adventures, and I love travelling the world. Love being immersed in different cultures and learning languages. Obviously, I was a languages teacher, so I would love to learn a few more languages. But I also am enjoying, honing new skills, gardening, those sorts of things. So yeah, lots to do. There's lots to enjoy in life.
And if your kids or Dion were here, what 3 words would you like them to use to describe you?
What 3 words would they use? I think, fun. I think considered and loving. Yeah.
It's a great collection of words. Yeah. And are you proud of yourself?
Yeah, I am proud of myself. Yeah.
This has been fun. It was
Thanks,
very,
Dom.
very, it's not even 9 o'clock and we've finished the podcast.
Yeah.
What am I going to do with the rest of the day?
Well, that's it.
Yeah.
The whole day is ahead. It's brilliant. It's brilliant.
Win the morning, win the day. Yeah. Hey, this has been really, really enjoyable.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for, I know this is a big call for you.
Yeah.
As in you don't go out of your way to to seek any sort of limelight. You'd probably rather not be doing this than be doing this. So I really appreciate it.
Yeah. Thanks, Tom.
That's been cool.
Yeah.
Thanks so much, Bernice. You're a great New Zealander.
Thank you.